name is Scope, and welcome. This video is essentially I'm going to do an intro to CVS2. There's plenty of intros to other fighting games, and I love this game, and I've come across plenty of people who like the game, want to play it, but have a hard time getting into it because there's so much to know about it. So I figure since I haven't seen any of this online before, I would get into it. This isn't so much as a guide as an intro into how the game works, what to look for, and that kind of stuff. I will do a breakdown of individual mechanics and stuff, individual grooves, which I'll get into in a little bit in later videos. But in the meantime, let's get started. So, quick intro, this is Capcom versus SNK2. This is the PS2 emulator. That's why I'm able to show it. Basically, on the Capcom side, you have Street Fighter, Rival Schools, and Vampire Savior versus basically KOF, Samurai Showdown, and Last Blade. Very few characters of those last two on each of those. The first thing to start off with CVS2 is when you first play the game, the first thing it's going to ask you to do, pick a groove. And if you pick the wrong groove, you might lose. Ha ha ha! I'm so funny. It's something the game says. But anyways, you have 6 grooves in total. Each groove represents basically a style of gameplay, not necessarily like a specific game specifically. Some are, but more like a style of gameplay reminiscent of either Capcom or SNK. You have C, A, and P that represent Capcom style games. S, N, and K for SNK games. For instance, C is reminiscent of Alpha, Alpha 1, Alpha 2. You have air blocking, you have 3 meters of super, that kind of thing. A is custom combo specifically that you see in alpha games, where basically the main mechanic is you're able to do custom combos. You have P, which is basically pairing from Third Strike. It's not Third Strike, which I would get into in later videos. You have S, which is dodge, which is from KOF 94 and has the same kind of meter thing like KOF 94. N is essentially KOF 98, where you have multiple pips that you build meter to, and you can pop a pip to do more damage. And K is essentially Samurai Showdown, where you take damage that builds your meter, as well as Garo Mark of the Wolves, which is just defend, which is basically the opposite of parrying, if you know what that is. So that's kind of a quick rundown. I am going to do an individual video for each groove in later videos. This is just a quick intro to CVS2. The next thing that you're going to need to do, we'll just pick one here. We'll do Blanca. The next thing is that there's a thing called a ratio system. You have 4 ratios, 1, 2, 3, and 4. In this game, you can choose a max of 3 characters, similar to SNK, but you can choose to keep only do 1 or only do 2, and you split a max of 4 ratios between the characters that you choose. So you can have a 2 ratio 1s, and then a ratio 2, or you can have 2 ratio 2s, a ratio 1 and a ratio 3, or 1 ratio 4. The difference between these are thus. Ratio 1, basically a ratio 2 is technically the baseline. You don't get any positives or minuses. At least that's how it's portrayed anyways. Ratio 1 has negative 20% health with negative 18% damage. And ratio 3 has plus 17% health. These are all over ratio 2s, but against a ratio 2 health. Plus 17% health, plus 17% damage. Ratio 4 has plus 40% health and 30% damage. Now, what you'll see most of the time in competitive play and even casual play is you'll see 2 ratio 1s and a ratio 2. Most of the time with the ratio 2 being at the end, because it has higher damage and higher health, so it basically is your comeback mechanic. But the reason why you don't see but the one thing you don't see 2 ratio 2s, and you don't see a ratio 1 and a ratio 3. Ratio 4s, yes, you'll see, but mostly as a joke. They'll pick ratio 4 Blanca, ratio 4 Sagat, because they're broken and think they can just wipe you out your team with the character. And it's possible, don't get me wrong. But there's a reason why you don't see that in competitive play. Is because of that, I explained the health percentages, and I'm going to give you a quick rundown of why you see more ratio 1, ratio 2 ratio 1s and ratio 2 than the rest. Is because, let's say your regular character like Ryu, let's say you pick Ryu, Ken, Guile, which you all have the same health totals, which are at 4,400 health. If you do 2 ratio 1s and ratio 2, your max health is at 37,440. Let's say you do 2 ratio 2s. You're at 28,800. That's a difference of 33% health with only, what is it, a plus 18% damage or something like that? Only over the ratio 1 characters anyways. If you do a ratio 1 and a ratio 3 of those same characters, you're actually at even less health. You have 28,368. So you get even less health with like I say, the same ratio of damage. So picking those is not really that effective. If you were to pick 1 ratio 4 of those characters, you're only at 20,160, which is a 50% life difference. Yes, now granted, they're only going to be, the ratio 1s only do about a little less than 80%, but your damage output is only an added 30% with a 50% health decrease. So that's why mostly it's just numbers that you see more 2 ratio 1s and a ratio 2. It's just basically that's why. And so that's why you see all the time. And as for selecting order, you can put your ratio 2 in the front or in the back or in the middle. Most of the time it's in the back. Basically that's your comeback mechanic in this game, is you have a ratio 2, you save the meter, that way you can make a comeback if you need to. You do see ratio 2s put up in front, mostly as a kind of wow factor. You see like a ratio 2 Sagat trying to basically blow out the initial characters of the opposing team, and then using your ratio 1s at the very end to kind of whittle down anything that's left. And that's the hope in any case. Sometimes it does, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So that's really up to you. But most of the time you'll see a ratio 2 at the end as basically your comeback mechanic. So we're going to get in here real quick, and I'm just to show you basically the main mechanics of the game. And we'll do a SNK groove here, and we'll actually do somebody with a I will show off some that are in this game.
Ready? Fight!
So starting off, the movement is pretty much...
You can feel the calm before the storm as the round begins.
Just a bit announcer. The buttons are 6-button layout, like in Street Fighter. So medium, light, medium, and heavy. Light, medium, and heavy. And so normally when you see SNK characters, their heavy attacks or like are basically their blowback, like CDs if you're coming from a KOF game. It's mostly their CDs, or direction and heavy attack is their CDs essentially. You have your health. Yes, I'm on computer, so you have your health at the top, you have your meter at the bottom. Now this bar here is not your stun. That is that is your guard meter. As you know, SNK guard meter has been in both SNK and Capcom, mostly in the Alpha series, and SNK has had it for all time. Guard meter works that if guard meter goes away, free to throws, punches, whatever, through the hits, throws, supers, whatever you name it. Jumping, you have regular jumping. All grooves have certain grooves have short hops where, and I'll go into those grooves later. But all grooves actually have super jumping. So you tap down and then up, and you jump a little bit farther, and you jump a little bit further. And there's not like hyper hopping like there is in KOF, but everybody has a super jump. Some grooves actually have short hop. Most of the SNK grooves do. Throwing in this game is similar to actually USF2 if you played Ultra Street Fighter 2, but only with 2 heavy attacks. So not that you press them both at the same time, but that you press a direction and one of the heavy attacks. So punch.
Beautiful example in the combination attack
of mashable throws, and then you have an direction and heavy kick. The direction in which you throw is the direction in which you hold. So if I hold left, I'll throw to the left.
Exampling the art
Right.
of the combination attack.
Mashing throws that do multiple hits, like Bite or Bash, Ken's Knee Bash, is not like new games. It's like older games where you actually have to mash out. So if you see yourself getting grabbed, mash buttons and directions to reduce the amount of damage you take. It's not like I think there is a max hits for each one, but you still want to reduce the damage. I believe that's specials. You have charge characters, you have motion characters, there are charge characters in this game. And that's pretty much the main thing I wanted to cover through this kind of grooves, picking the main mechanics of the game. Let me go into some real quick things that are in this game. Oh, motion-wise. So all Capcom grooves have dashes. So you double tap forward, you get hop. Well, he has a hop. Some characters have hop, some characters don't, they just slide. Certain characters can corpse hop, and some characters can actually, I think Blanca can actually. His hop actually reaches high enough where they can hop over grounded fireballs like Geese's Reppuken or something. Certain even normals have air mobility and stuff like that. But so that's Capcom. All Capcom grooves have this. All SNK grooves. Record them real quick. All SNK grooves have run, which is tap forward and keep holding, and you run. You can keep holding, and this is down forward. So and you will still get it. Okay, that's not changing direction. Does that even show? Display. No, it does not show. Okay. But basically, you can still hold down. Okay. And so that's all. And like there, so there's a short hop, and that's done by doing tapping lightly or going up to down really quick, however you're comfortable doing. And that's pretty much most of the main mechanics. Oh, he's gonna start. Hold on, he's gonna start. I don't know if he's on record, so let me get off of that. Stand. That's the main mechanics. Some real quick glitches. I can't show. I can show one. I can show definitely show. We'll show the main one that everybody knows about. There's one that I'll show real quickly. Ryu actually, and that is corner cross up. As you see, I landed in the corner, so I punch the throw, I'm in the corner. Normally, and here, try rolling. See, I'm not in the corner. But, this time didn't. And you get plenty of mix-offs off of that. It's throw specific for certain characters, but it's only two-player side can do this. Only the player, only player playing on the two-player side can do this. Like I said, it's whether it's kick throw. Oh, he does. Some characters don't. Some it's only punch throw, like for instance Sagat. It doesn't do it off his knee bash, only off his punch throw. Anything that gets you into the corner, for the most part, I think I can. Normally you can't. Let me show, for instance, then let me do, let me show, for instance, I did that. Yeah, oh, see, I can't get into the corner. That would work if he was on two-player side. And that's only for two-player side. That's a two-player side cross-up glitch. There is a glitch that I can't show because it requires two people, is that when someone breaks the throw and both you reverse at the same time, supers, strange things can happen. You can find it on YouTube, and you can find it. The most common one that I actually do see that people do is when playing with the Raiden, the SNK character. I'll show you the character list here. When playing was playing with Raiden, when you do a throw and they break and you do a reversal, his Rekka, they will glitch out. They will become invisible except for their shadow on the underneath. We don't know why. You can find it online. You can find it in matches too. I've seen it plenty of times in Japan play. It's more common than you think. It's still uncommon, but you will find it. The next thing I'll show is the most famous glitch of all, roll canceling. Essentially, there are grooves in this game that allow rolling. C is one of them. I'll go into those specifically when I get to grooves. Basically,
Ready? Fight!
Invincibility frame allows you are unhittable, but you are throwable. One thing
you can feel the calm before the storm at the round end.
Actually cancel out of a low short into a Blanca ball. Canceling out the animation. That kind of, right? Well, you can do the same. I'll show you what it can do. Dizzy. Yes. I'm never gonna get it. I can get it. And how that works is that when you cancel out of a roll, you have to cancel out within the first 1 to 3 frames of. You have a 1 to 3 frame window. I don't know exactly, because I don't think people know exactly. And what it'll do is you'll get invincibility frames on the move, and the move becomes invincible. The move becomes throwable because rolls are throwable, but you can't hit it. Certain moves are really broken. One of them is that one. RC electricity is broken because the hitbox on the thing is crazy, and it adds, I believe it's 15 frames of invulnerability. It's not the amount of frames of invincibility of the rolls that I thought it was, but after looking it up, it actually gives it roughly 15 frames. They don't know exactly. Allows you to go through moves, allows you to beat any kind of wake up as well. You can RC command grabs. You can RC any kind of special. Some specials will beat out wake up supers and whatnot. And so that's basically a quick rundown. There's another glitch, which is an OTG grab. Basically, there's 2 characters, Dan and Rolento, in any groove that doesn't have fast wake up. If they are knocked down anywhere and you have A groove and custom combo and you pop your groove, which I'll actually show when I go into A groove, you can actually pick them up off the ground with a command grab, or any kind of grab actually, depending on which grab you use. And you can pick them off the ground and continue a combo, which I'll show that. If you want to see that, I'll show that when I get to A groove combos. I'll show that in the A groove video, which will come out later. But anyways, that's a quick rundown. If I miss anything that's like a major mechanic of the game, let me know. Like I said, I'm doing specific grooves later. If any specific mechanic I should know about, any specific glitch I should do, let me know. Maybe I'll do like a things I missed or something like that video. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found it useful. If you're getting into CVS2, hope this helped you out in deciding what you should do, at least getting started. And I appreciate you watching. Thank you.